Hello learners, in this unit on music, our focus is on music in India with reference to the traditional music in India, the different forms of music that is popular among Indians, as well as how Indian music is different from the music of the rest of the world. We all know that music in India has an old and a long tradition. It has enjoyed the patronage of local people in general, along with the royal courts. In fact, the birth of music lay in the ancient past in the religious activities of people, the chanting of scriptures and paying musical offering to gods. This is a well documented activity. It was also discovered that the sound produced from the different parts of human body, the abdomen, lung, throat and head, make a system by itself. The ratio and proportions by which these sound patterns emerged and was later developed in an order called Shruti in Indian classical music. Gradually, the musical scales were standardized and laws were framed to regulate the practice of singing and instrument playing. This allowed the evolution of melodies and a system of musical notations, raga, to come into existence. So, in this video, we will take you on a journey across the wide spectrum of Indian music along with its growth and development. We know that it has evolved over a period of several thousand years, and an understanding of this development is necessary for proper appreciation of its aesthetical qualities. So, let us now first understand the classification of music in India. You will appreciate that the knowledge of Indian music in its present form is the greatest asset as a professional in the tourism industry. The information available on classical music enables you to gain a wider perspective of Indian culture, of which music is a significant component. From the point of view of definition, the music in India has found a clear description in old Sanskrit text. So, music has been stated with different words such as Geetam, Vadyam, Tarnam, Sangeet, that is, music is composed of three basic parts: the vocal, the instrumental and the dance. It is true that all these three forms of art are interrelated, though all have grown and developed somewhat independently. Since sound is a common feature of all, it is generally understood that music comprises of all the three. Now, let me take you to a very interesting distinction between music in India, that is Marg and Desi music. This form of music has developed from the very beginning as two parallel streams. One stream used music abundantly in the religious ceremonies, while the other equally rich tradition focused on music during popular festivals or on occasions for public entertainment. So, the former is known as Marg music and the later is called Desi music. These two streams do not remain independent of each other. Both are popular music forms and enjoyed by people from all age groups. In certain periods of Indian history, religious ceremonies were the monopoly of a specialized group. So, the Marg music in those times somewhere distanced itself from the common people and was also designated as classical. Later on, the other stream, that is the Desi stream, remained in the domain of people and gained great popularity in all regions of India. So, now we will further clarify the differences between these two music forms. The Marg music is rather quite soulful, like the musical styles comprises of Dhrupad and Khayal, which is part of Marg music, whereas the Desi music is free flowing, and the controlling feature of this kind of music is regulation of popular taste. So, one of the important part of Desi music is variety of sounds that it incorporates. Modern singing of ghazals may be classified as falling under Desi music. It is an acceptable fact that Marg and Desi music styles are interrelated. Both are essentially based on popular music. When refinements are introduced by the artist, the stream acquires the interest of the elites of the society, and we find that Marg music still remains to predominantly be used in various spiritual activities and is connected with the classical form of dance as far as the performances are concerned. The rag and the raginis, the related musical instrument and other elements of fine art such as dance contribute to this musical form. We must remember that classical forms grew and reached greater heights, and they are really connected with the local masses and are generally used on occasions. So, we have different forms of Indian classical music which owes its genesis to specific regional styles. So, we have the Khayal style during the era of Dhrupad music, was rated as a semi-classical or non-classical in character. With the inclusion of new elements, we have popular pressure groups. Later, Khayal got elevated to a status of a full-fledged classical music form. So, we have so many other forms such as Thumri and Dadra, which is still popular in Indian music and is considered to be a sub-style. We have highly rated artists today who use them in their performances with large number of audience. Some of the popular forms are Chaiti, Kajri or Rasya, and they are acceptable to all forms of people. So, we find that there is a continuous refinement, continuous change in the classical and popular music forms, and there are new changes. For example, we have ragas like Khamat, Kambhavati, Kafi, Pilu, Mad, Malvi or Sarak in the category of classical music, and we have sufficient evidence to support this form of music. So, there is a constant interaction that takes place between the Marg and the Desi music. It is a two-way exchange process. The Desi music is also affected by the developments in the Marg music. The give and the take is so much intense that the popular music forms today seems to borrow the elements of classical music as to sustain and keep alive the interest of local people in general. It is for this reason also that there is no specific codification of Desi music has been attempted. So, we have popular styles based on regional languages and local audiences, and in this style we find that this music has predominantly even dominated the film industry both at the Bollywood level as well as at the regional level. Learners, after understanding the difference between the Marg and the Desi music, let us move to one more complex understanding of the Indian music style, that is the North Indian style and the Karnataka style. I hope you must have heard about the Hindustani music style and the Karnataka music style. The tradition of both is very much based on the ancient literature. With the increasing Arabic and Perso-Islamic influence in the north of the country, Indian classical music started to divide into two divergent traditions: Hindustani classical music in the north and Karnataka classical music in the south. The diversion was very much prominent during the Mughal Empire, and it prevails even today. A detailed exploration of distinctions between the two is beyond the scope of this entire video, but we will try to understand the key commonalities, the religious significance of Sangeet and the importance of ragas and tal framework, the impact of Islamic instruments, the role of vocal timbres, new elaborate form of improvisation, as well as the development of specific distinct traditions with reference to various instruments For example, sitar is widely used in Hindustani music and veena is used in Carnatic music. Hindustani classical song, music, dance and drama flourished under Mughal patronage. With cosmopolitan approach, the Mughal rulers permitted Hindus, Muslims and Sikh musicians to perform in the darbar or the royal courts. They nurtured intercultural creativity. The music was popular beyond the court and was characterized by social changes. We know that during this time the caste system had weakened, so talented musicians from lower caste were permitted to become court musicians, which helped in the development of Hindustani classical tradition. While the Khandan or the family lineage model instituted to maintain its role and the Guru Shishya system was very strong, still this form of music emphasized lot of hereditary inheritance from the local music traditions. However, the social orientation changed. Musicians were retained at multiple positions, and in local villages also we have people who performed, which led to the growth of this form of music. This was also popular for bhajans and various songs related to the Lord Krishna. We had extensive vocal competition in villages across North India in which singers performed different forms of classical dance, singing different ragas to suit the appropriate time as the evening progressed. These social changes also enabled women to participate in Indian classical music for the first time, and the musical talent, the social grace became very much important for them to become empowered in the society. Mughal patronage also helped to raise the status of Desi tradition and resulted in the development of light classical forms. So there were very many lower caste court musicians who had immense value in Mughal court and were aware about the techniques of Hindustani classical music. They were having extreme influences on the form of music that is performed. The core form of Hindustani vocal tradition that emerged during Mughal rule were Dhrupad, Khayal and of course the Kathak dance. Dhrupad emerged at the start of this period and was accompanied by pakhawats and tambourine and was given equal attention to alap and the gut section. Khayal, which is an Arabic word indicating imagination, developed towards the end of the Mughal period in the Hindustani classical tradition. It developed in parallel with Kathak and the two were often paired together. Khayal employed a notable free melodic style and its composition and the performers nurtured various new features. They improvised, they had impressive display of vocal music and creativity. So we know that Kathak came up in a big way as a dance form during this style. Its stylist movement and the gestures were related to a variety of dance performances and postures. So all this dance form was supplemented by the Hindustani music style that developed during that point. An interesting feature of the Mughal period was also the emergence of Qawwali. Qawwali was basically the divine message or the prophet message in song. Many times it is also excluded from the classification of Indian music because of its influence from Persia, but yes, this form of music also transmitted Sufi culture, Sufi poetry, and the Qawwali tradition emerged in 13th century by infusing Indian classical music with Arabic and Perso-Islamic influence. So we have the famous musician Amir Khusro, the father of Qawwali, who established this as a tradition in the devotional form in Delhi. During the time of Emperor Akbar, Mian Tansen, a court musician of 16th century, who made immense contribution to popularize this form of music across northern India. We had performances, and the musicians were rewarded by the royal court. So, during the Mughal period, on the one hand we had the growth of Hindustani music, on the other hand the Qawwali came up in a big way and was supported by the party of chorus singers. It was melodic, rhythmic, and had its own features with elaborate improvisation, variation, ornamentation, and complex singing. This form of music on the name of God, that is Allah, became very popular among the Indians. So, when we are studying about the Indian classical music and its evolution, we have understood that it was influenced by the various innovations also. However, the main divisions, despite these variations, continued to be the Northern Indian style and the Karnataka style. The distinguishing features of these style is based on the regional colors and the experiments that were done by the leading musicians of that time. We have lot of ancient literature which is available with, that focus on the regional varieties of the North and the South Indian classical style. The difference is apparent in the style because of the various support as well as the historical changes that took place from 7th century AD. The mainstream music was influenced by the various measures taken at the regional level. So, between 7th and 13th century AD, the Indian music also came in contact with musical style of other countries. So, it led to the enrichment of Indian musical traditions and led to the further growth of Northern Indian and Karnataka music as a distinct style. With the contact of Irani music and the related work available on Indian musical traditions, we come to know that this style was popular with large number of common people, and we have a literary text called Sangeet Sudhakar that gives us more details about the distinction. Now, let us understand how these two styles are different from one another. The difference is based on ragas, shrutis, thaat, and the instruments in these two styles. One of the most and the important difference is the purity of shruti in Karnataka style, whereas in the Hindustani music style, the shrutis tend to merge into each other at the time of rendering a raga. By purity of shruti, we mean rendering of the minutest sound related with certain swaras in the pure form. So, whereas in the Northern Indian or the Hindustani music, we shift to lower or in some cases the upper contours of the pure swaras, which are known as the komal, soft or tera, shrill respectively. So, in this style, we have lot of variations as far as the swaras are concerned. Now, let me discuss with you how this is different. In the Northern Indian style, we have Shataj, whereas in the Karnataka style, we have Komal Rishabh or Shuddh Rishabh. We have Komal Rishabh in Hindustani music, whereas in the Karnataka music, we have Shuddh Rishabh. In the case of Hindustani music, we have Komal Gandhar. In the case of Karnataka music, it is ordinary Gandhar. Hindustani music focus on Shuddh or Tivra Gandhar, whereas Carnatic music focus on Antar Gandhar. We have Shuddh or Komal Madhyam in Hindustani music, but we have Shuddh Madhyam in Karnataka music. Komal Dhaivat in classical music, that is Hindustani music, and Shuddh Dhaivat in Karnataka music. We have Komal Nishad in Hindustani music and Kanish Nishad in Karnataka music. So, when we go through these systems of music, we find that the Karnataka music system is associated with the southern part, whereas the Hindustani music is associated with the northern part and is deeply influenced by the Persian and Islamic music system. Despite these stylistic differences, let us understand the similarities between the two music forms. The basic element of swar, rag and tal is the foundation of both Karnataka and Hindustani music. Hindustani music originated in the Vedic period while Karnataka music originated during the Bhakti movement. Both the music forms have great association with religion. Karnataka music is one of the most important part of the Indian classical music that had evolved from ancient Hindu traditions and has its distinct form due to its regional influence and patronage by the local court. Both the music systems have evolved with Sanskrit language scripts and through Vedic tradition. The central notion of both these systems is that of a melodic mode or a raga sung in a rhythmic cycle or tal. However, the differences are such that the origin of Hindustani music is earlier than Carnatic music. It synthesizes with Vedic charms, Islamic traditions and Persian style. Karnataka music is comparatively pure and was developed in 15th and 16th century during Bhakti movement and also received patronage in 19th century. The main emphasis in Karnataka music is on vocal music and the most composition are to be sung. In Hindustani music, vocal centric group is required and many instruments are also designed to accompany the singer. The major vocal forms of Hindustani music are Dhrupad, Khayal, Tarana, Thumri, Dadri and Ghazal later emerged as one of the popular local subforms, while Karnataka music embraces several varieties of improvisation consisting of Nirval and Ragam. So, the differences is basically in the composition of ragas in the two systems. Karnataka style follows purity of swaras as the principal determining element in these composition. Hindustani style on the other hand practice the merger of ragas as a central element in these compositions. So, these subsystems still remain very popular and as a result of it in both these systems we have ragas having similar names but different rendering. We may have ragas with different names but similar rendering. So, there are variations in terms of the various forms of music based on the occasion as well as the script over which the music revolves. So, we have basically understood in this video that music system in India again originated from the Vedic times. On the one hand, we had a pure music system which was the Marg music system. In this music system, the focus was on various performances related to religious events and public participation. On the other hand, we have the Desi music. This basic music is popular at regional language. You will find this music in different languages of India and the common man really enjoys this music. After understanding this distinction, we do find that we have another subdivision which is the Hindustani music and the Karnataka music. Both these subdivisions are relevant today and the difference is basically in terms of the rag and the swaras that we use. The instruments used in both the music styles are very much different and are based on the local traditions as well as the patterns that have developed over a period of time. We have international performers in this area who have merged the two styles also and have beautifully sung presentations at the international level. So, learners, music is very popular among all of us. It is one of the means of being connected with this spiritual practice. It helps us to relieve the stress of day-to-day life, and when practiced in the classical form, this music helps us to understand how our human psychology and our day-to-day activities can really be done in a very relaxed manner if we use music in our life. For example, nowadays number of musical channels are available. We have videos which are uploaded on various sites related to music associated with meditation and religious prayers. So, new experiments are being conducted. Lot of young musicians are coming up in a big way in India, and this is one of the classical forms of Indian culture that we need to really conserve. Government of India is organizing number of musical festivals. For example, we have the Tansen Music Festival, which focus on the gathering of musicians. They provide platform and an avenue for the young musicians to exchange their artwork. They provide an avenue to the young musicians to perform among the audience and gain international popularity. So, we hope that in the coming years the classical musical tradition will remain popular and lot of interesting piece of music we will be able to hear. Thank you.